Already here. Yes, I don't know what you mean by next stage. What is the next stage? Next stage for every individual.
Well, it seems you went through an experience which
next stage for every individual is the physical death. That's all. He will die one day. So he is doing everything possible to push that as far as possible. And I am certain that medical technology will one day find out, you see, the way of keeping you alive for 150 years, 200. Curse them.
They didn't know anything about it.
We lived, yeah, that's true. We assume that they are our parents. That's all. You see, that is not really the problem, but we are here somehow.
When you see a newborn child, what does it mean? I mean, you see.
Why do you want to mystify? A newborn child is a newborn child. Is the result of, you see, the mating of two humans. Out of they make love, you see. Huh? Is there any? Listen, is there any meaning in making love? If there is any meaning in making love, you see, there is a meaning in the child's arrival here. Now, it depends upon you see, what you mean by meaning. Why are you looking for a meaning? Why should there be any? Why should there be any meaning? What for? You obviously don't see any meaning in your life. Everything you do seems absolutely meaningless to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be interested in trying to find out a meaning. No? Sure, yes. Why are you looking for a meaning?
Otherwise, are meaningless.
Don't bother about the others, you know. Don't bother about the others, you know. The whole world is an extension of you. That's all. The way you are thinking, the way you are feeling, the way you are experiencing, everybody in this world is experiencing, feeling, and thinking exactly the same way. You may not be thinking of God, you may not be thinking of God realization, enlightenment, but you see, you may be thinking of something else, you know. I don't know what you are thinking about. So the goals may be different, but the mechanism or the instrument which you are using to achieve your particular goal is no different from those who want different kinds of goals. That's all that I'm pointing out. So, but why should there be any meaning?
The baby obviously has no goal.
The baby has a goal to survive. See, from the moment the child is born, she is looking for, you see, the survival. Milk. That is the instinct, you see. The instinct is there to feed itself, to survive, and to reproduce one like that. That seems to be the way what you call, you see, life is expressing itself. That's all.
But it doesn't do any harm. It has no schemes.
Yeah, our schemes have created the mess. That's all that I'm saying. How to live. The how to live that is imposed on us by our culture is the one that has created the problems for us. That is all that I'm pointing out. Is it possible for you, this is a rhetorical question I am throwing at you, to be free from how to live? You replace one how with another how. That's all. That is what you mean by life, I think. You see, how to live. Living is the problem, not life. Life, we really don't know anything about life. So what we call life is the one that makes the body respond to these things, stimuli, you know. Body is responding. There is pulse, there is beat, there is throb. Those things stop, then what you call the clinical death takes place. So that is not a death in the sense in which we use the word, because that is the basis for life. So life is continuing, not the way you see you want. You see, your form has disintegrated into its constituent elements, and those things have become the basis for the continuity of life. So that is no consolation to you. You want to continue for 100 years, 200 years, and then after that beyond, after death, God knows what is. So that instrument is interested in continuity. So this is continuing. It is not interested in 100 years or 200 years or the death. You see, the end of this. Shape changes, form changes. That's all.
So what's happening to the human being after his body dies?
That's what I have told you. If you bury it, the worms have a field day. They will have an extraordinary feast. And if you throw it in the water, the fish or all the other things you see will have a feast on it.
What do you prefer?
Me, it's not my problem. It's the problem of those who want to get out of this body because it will begin to stink. You see, they cannot,
But
they're very often.
A human person has a mind which continues or goes somewhere else with whatever his experiences are?
Not his experience, because his experiences while he is living are not his own. They come from the totality of man's experiences. So that will continue. Every time you feel jealousy, you see, every time you feel that, you see, you are adding to that. You see, that is going on, the world mind. There is no such thing as your mind or my mind. You see this, you breathe. The air, you need air, you see, so that you can survive. If you don't breathe, that's the end of you. So in exactly the same way, there is this thought sphere that is always there. It's not yours, not mine. So we use that for purposes of communication. First of all, we have to communicate to ourselves. This is the most important thing. Communicating to others comes next, you see. So we constantly communicate to ourselves. If that communication is not there, we are not there. You, as you know yourself. So what I mean by communication is you tell yourself that you are happy, that you are unhappy, that you are miserable, that you are bored, that you are this, that you are that you are not this, not that. You see, that goes on and on. That I don't see any meaning. What is the meaning? You see, this is the communication I am talking about. So if that communication is not there, there is no need for you to communicate with anybody. So you communicate with others to maintain this communication with yourself. So this is important to you. See, this communication becomes possible only when you see you depend upon or draw from, you see, the totality. That is passed on from generation to generation. That's all that I'm pointing out. So the man has, through evolution, developed this capacity to draw from that, you see, quicker. You see, animals take longer time to learn a language. And then you see, to behave, you see, the way we teach them. So man has, through centuries of evolution, has developed this capacity, to absorb things quickly, to continue. So that communication becomes possible only with the help of that. If that is not there, no communication is there inside of you, except the basic needs of the body. The animals also have thoughts. They have tremendous instincts, They have more powers than the humans. The clairvoyance, clairaudience, the capacity to communicate to the others, all that, telepathy, what you call, they don't use those words, but they have that, there for the survival. But man has lost them because he is using thinking instead of the sensory perceptions and the instincts called clairvoyance, clairaudience, and telepathy and all that. And so he has lost them, you see, and then he wants them again, and sometimes, you see, the hidden things come up, and you attribute some extraordinary things to it as a spiritual man. You see, everybody has, these are all the sensitized thoughts. When the thoughts are sensitized, you see, then you see a few individuals, you see, develop these things, instincts. But man has no use for them anymore, except those people who want to be spiritual. So they feel the necessity for that kind of a thing, not for purposes of survival, but for spiritual growth. So through thinking, man has made it possible for him, you see, to survive. more efficiently than the animals. So it is that very thing that has been the curse of man, and it is going to destroy him. But anyway, there is nothing that we can do. But the hope that that instrument will save him is a hope that really has no way of fulfilling itself. So if you think, you see, the hope is necessary, and optimism which you are talking about is very important to you, then it is all right with me.
Well, I didn't use myself the word optimism.
No.
But as I understand, a physiological process you underwent, and maybe that's the next step, and mankind is going through evolutionary mutation.
He would have, you see, everybody would have been, you see, in this situation if it had not been for, you see, the culture. You see, the culture has created the model of a perfect man.
But you might be a counterculture here.
And the counterculture is part of the same. You see, they go together, you know. You see, this is a reaction to that, you see. So when you find it is impossible for you to reach your goal and see the meaninglessness of that, you see, then you create, you see, the opposite of it. So the counterculture and the perfect man that the culture has created and placed before us belong to the same. They come from the same source. So,
but culture would be conditioning, and counterculture would be deconditioning, and once you decondition enough processes...
No, it is conditioning you in a different way. It is not possible for you to be left alone with conditioning. No matter what you do, you are conditioning yourself. You see, the unconditioning that they are talking about, the psychologists and some of those spiritual goons we have in our marketplace today, is a bogus affair. You see, you know, you will find out. You will be surprised. Yes, that anything you do is conditioning you in a different way. So this talk of unconditioning or freeing yourself from conditioning has no meaning. But, you see, the conditioning there in the body is intelligence. So to talk of freeing yourself from conditioning, which is a very superficial thing, has no meaning. You see, your reflexes are conditioned. The functioning of the body has an extraordinary intelligence, and that is conditioning. That's what I am talking about. It is done in a different way, through the genetic control, not through the control of your ideations and meditations.
Well, we have been experimenting with drugs which have been deconditioning our reflexes.
That is a temporary.
Yes, but
very
the
temporary
state might introduce you to other ways of being.
For what purpose? So you create another man, which is no different from the other. See, so even this genetic engineering that they are indulging in is not for the benefit of mankind, because you see, the technique will be handed over to the state. The state will use that to control every individual instead of brainwashing, which will take centuries, through an injection or through the manipulation or what they call the genetic engineering. You can turn everybody into a soldier and fight your battles. It's very easy. So it is not in the interest of mankind to develop that. So in any case, no matter what we do, it is not in the interest of any man. Because anything that is born out of that is destructive in its very nature. Because it is a protective mechanism. It is protecting itself. When you protect yourself here, when you are seeking security here, there cannot be any security in this world. That's a fact, whether we recognize it or not. So this has no social content. I am emphasizing all the time. Now, if you are freed from the goal, you see, of a perfect man, a truly religious man, then you see, whatever is there begins to express itself. Nature is creating unique individuals. Each one is different, physiologically different. Whereas the culture has placed before us an ideal man, a perfect man, a truly religious man, modeled after these teachers, you know, Jesus, Buddha, and all those religious teachers. So that is why, you see, we are all caught up in this misery. Perfect man does not exist at all.
Who are you?
I wish I knew. Yeah, that question, I wish I knew. I don't even want to bother about finding out because I have no way of finding out, you see. If I knew that, you see, that would be a great disaster for mankind. You know that, you see. If the thought that I'm an enlightened man or free man enters my head, you see, the world is in trouble. Then you go around freeing people, enlightening people, and set in motion, you see, another counter-destructive force in the world. We already have enough cults, you see, enough groups. So why add one more?
You enjoy your life?
There is no time for me to think of it.
No, but when you're sitting here, you feel okay? Talk to us, you make friends.
I don't even know.
You know the concept friends? Yes.
I know one thing, I don't have enemies, so that does not mean that everybody is a friend, and if I say that everybody is a friend, that does not mean I don't have enemies. It's not that I'm playing with words, but what do we mean by friend? Huh? What do you mean by friend? I don't know.
Well, there might be funny people.
I do use the word friend, I know what it means.
Somebody comes to you and says, I'm your friend, and you have to...
I'm delighted to meet a friend. What do you want me to say? It's not that I don't know the meaning of the word friend. Huh?
But are you a friend of humanity? I mean, do you care about humanity? I mean, is it easy to tell human people, well, they're going to be blown up?
What am I doing now? Telling you, see? Take it or leave it. I'm not here to convert you.
You were mentioning communication. What's the purpose of communication?
No communication is possible and no communication is necessary. When we understand the meaninglessness and the ridiculousness of trying to communicate.
I didn't come here to hear meaninglessness. I came here because there was some more meaning added to whatever we knew already or did not know already.
I'm surprised that you see, have made some meaning out of this. I don't know. Really. I don't know if it makes any sense. I'm just singing my own song. I'm like a raving maniac, you see. Talking, singing my song. If somebody listens to me or not, interested in it or not, it's not my concern.
Would you be doing this if nobody came to listen?
I don't consider any hypothetical situation.
Right.
If nobody comes to see me here, I did not, for example, come here expecting to see anybody. See, my talking is, believe it or not, is incidental. I've been wanting to come here to Amsterdam for some years, not to liberate, the people of this country, but just, that's all. I came here because I haven't been here for 30 years. And so I said to myself, all right, let me go to Amsterdam and for a few days, and our gracious friends have offered their hospitality. Yes. What do you want me to call them? My horrible enemies, they were good enough, gracious enough to offer the hospitality. So I find myself here, that's all. And then, so the whole thing has just happened, I didn't expect, that man threatened to bring all his colleagues from his school. Not one has come here.
What did you say?
Not one.
You're talking is incidental.
For whatever reason. I'm not blaming him, I was very reluctant, I don't want to have anything to do with the philosophers. And so, this thing I never expected, at all. It's just incidental.